Hey guys, Layla here, and I'm back with the next part of my character design tutorial. In this video, we're focusing on finishing the face and body and doing the clothing. So I started with finishing the sketch of her face, and while sketching, I'm also making sure I'm flipping my canvas, from one side to the other for accurate proportions and just so that nothing looks wonky. And I'm not really super focused on clean lines. This is just a sketch, so my lines are thick, they're loose, and I'm just not worried about any refinement since I'll be inking it over in a bit. So at about right here is where I start finishing the pose of the body, and then I start her clothing. And when I sketch clothing onto the body, I make a new layer completely, and I also change my sketch color because I want to be able to clearly see what's part of her clothing and what's part of her body. Otherwise, I could get confused when I go in and start inking, and I might not be able to differentiate the two. So it's important to kind of separate those. I also want to take a second to talk about wrinkles in clothing. It's super important to have because it's a very realistic feature and it will help to not make your drawing seem so flat. So wrinkles depend mostly on how loose or tight clothing is. And for her halter, it's slightly tight up top, so there are barely any wrinkles up there, but as you travel farther down, they start to show up around her natural waistline, and then they mostly gather around the ends. And not only does that signify that the top is kind of loose down there, but it also looks realistic, and it also gives a good counterweight and some heaviness to the bottom. And now I've moved on to inking. And now that we're coming to the end of the inking of her body and shirt, I also want to point out the fact that yes, I have not done her hands. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. It's just that's not the focus of this video just yet. To be completely honest, this isn't exactly how you would go about doing a character, but I wanted to break down certain features such as, the hair, the eyes, the mouth, the nose, the body, the clothing into pieces or chunks because I wanted to show how to do each kind of thing. So really what you would do is do the sketch completely of your character and then ink it all completely in one go. But this is a tutorial and I wanted to show you step by step just certain features. So the biggest difference with character 2 is drawing her side face, or the 3/4 view really. So you draw the curve of the forehead to the eyebrow, and right when you reach that spot, you indent in under it to show that brow bone, and then slightly out for the upper eyelid. And then right at the bottom of the lower lid, you're going to curve back out for the cheekbone, and then slightly curve back in, do the chin, and then the jawline. And that's a pretty universal sort of structure for almost any person in that sort of view. That's usually how the skull is shaped. Obviously, we all have our individual differences, bigger cheeks, smaller cheeks, more prominent jaw, slightly slimmer chin, things like that. So that would be the only differences from person to person. So now I finished the second character's upper body. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with character 1. I'm making a new layer, and different color, and we're starting the clothing. So I want to give some attention to the sleeves. I am following a very basic sort of shape, and you'll see that I go in and I do this kind of little waving technique. And I go ahead and I do it again, just kind of larger for you guys to see that these are ruffles. And in a way, they're hard to explain. All I can really do is just show you how I do them, and maybe you can just replay it again and again to sort of understand, how a ruffle sort of overlaps. And it's a very cool effect. I use it often. I love the way ruffles look. I feel like they're so feminine and so pretty to do. So I do them quite often, and I wanted to do it for her sleeves to definitely show you guys how I do them, and just to give a different look to this character. It's a turtleneck kind of top with ruffle sleeves, and I do most of my wrinkles around the upper chest area because I wanted to show that that part is kind of loose. And then I sort of draw it kind of tight, and then there's a little bit of wrinkle happening on the bottom, but not a lot. And then lastly, I go in and start inking. So that's it. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video for this one where we go over how to draw the hands. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.